Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the fascinating world of rare British coins. Hidden in the history of shillings are treasures that look ordinary at first glance, but in reality carry extraordinary value today. These coins are not just old pieces of metal. They are fragments of history, tied to kings and queens, to post-war change, and to the legacy of an empire. What makes them even more exciting is that some of these rare no-mint mark varieties can sell for hundreds of dollars, even close to 1,000. Stay with me, because in this video, we'll uncover one of the most valuable British coins you may have never known existed. And to begin our journey, we travel back to 1947, the very first year Britain struck its 1 shilling coins without silver, under the reign of King George VI. And it is here that the rare no-mint mark variety emerges as one of the most valuable treasures of post-war coinage. It is a survivor of a turning point in history. The year 1947 marked a dramatic shift in Britain's coinage system, the very moment when silver was abandoned and replaced with cupro nickel. That change forever altered the face of British money. Up until 1946, shillings had been struck with a 50% silver content. But the economic devastation following World War II left Britain with no choice but to conserve its silver reserves. In 1947, the nation took the bold step of removing silver entirely from circulation coins. The 1947 1 shilling, therefore, was the very first of its kind, a coin of the same beloved design, but struck in the new metal composition of cupronickel. This change marked a new era for British coinage, making the 1947 issue historically significant. Now, what sets this coin apart is not only its place in history, but also the existence of a special no-mint mark variety. Normally, coins were struck at either the Royal Mint in London or at branch mints abroad, each identified by tiny mint marks. But the no-mint mark 1947 shilling was a rare outcome, and today it is one of the most sought-after finds from this era. The absence of a mint mark may seem like a detail too small to matter, but in the world of numismatics, such details create legends. It is this very absence that makes the 1947 no-mint mark shilling such a treasure. On the obverse, the coin carries the dignified portrait of King George VI, the monarch who guided Britain through the darkest years of war and into the uncertain dawn of peace. His image, resolute and calm, stands as a reminder of endurance and stability. On the reverse, collectors find either the English or the Scottish crest, crowned proudly a powerful emblem of national unity. And yet, when this crest appears without a mint mark, the coin transforms from a common relic into a rare prize. During the 1940s, millions of ordinary shillings were minted, but very few of the no-mint mark versions survived. Most slipped into circulation, worn down by decades of use, while others vanished entirely. Those that remain today in high quality are exceedingly scarce. This scarcity is what drives collectors into fierce competition when a 1947 no-mint mark shilling appears at auction. It is a coin that cannot simply be picked out of pocket change anymore. It is a rarity that must be hunted and claimed. So why is it so valuable? Because it is a coin that embodies three powerful forces: historical importance, design beauty, and extreme scarcity. Few coins manage to combine all three, but this one does. Over the decades, prices for the 1947 no-mint mark shilling have continued to rise. What was once a simple post-war coin can now command hundreds of dollars. And in pristine condition, with sharp details and original luster, collectors have paid as much as $900 for a single piece. Think about that for a moment. A coin that once carried the everyday value of 12 pence can now be worth nearly $1,000 in today's market. That is the extraordinary power of numismatics. Beyond its monetary value, the coin tells a story of Britain in recovery. It speaks of rationing, rebuilding, and resilience. To own one is not only to hold a collectible, it is to hold a piece of that powerful history. The thrill of discovery also plays a role. Imagine opening a box of inherited coins and finding that 1 shilling from 1947, only to realize it carries a hidden detail that makes it worth hundreds of dollars. That moment of revelation is priceless. Collectors around the world know that opportunities like this are rare. And once you hold the 1947 no mint mark shilling, you will understand why it has become a symbol of both historical memory and investment potential. For investors, it represents more than a collectible. It is an asset whose rarity ensures stability and value, with the potential to appreciate even further as demand continues to grow. Ladies and gentlemen, if you ever encounter the 1947 British One Shilling George VI with no mint mark, recognize it for what it is, a hidden treasure. Because you are not holding just a coin. You are holding a story of change, a symbol of rarity, and possibly $900 or more in value. As we leave behind the groundbreaking 1947 issue, we move forward just 1 year to 1948, where the 1 shilling of King George VI continued the new Copernican era, and once again, the elusive no mint mark variety turned an ordinary coin into a highly valuable rarity. By 1948, the nation was still rebuilding, rationing was still a reality, and coins like the shilling were part of everyday life, connecting people to stability in uncertain times. The shilling itself had been a cornerstone of British money for centuries, valued at 12 pence under the pre-decimal system. But in the late 1940s, the shilling gained a new dimension. It became a symbol of change. Just 1 year earlier, in 1947, Britain had made the historic decision to remove silver from its circulating coins, replacing it with cupronickel. The 1948 issue, therefore, was among the very first full years of this new composition, making it highly significant in the timeline of British coinage. But what truly makes the 1948 1 shilling stand out is the mysterious no mint mark version. Unlike the standard coins that bore mint identifiers, a small number of shillings were struck without any mark, and it is this tiny detail that transforms the coin into a rare treasure. Collectors understand the importance of mint marks. They tell us where a coin was struck and sometimes reveal minting anomalies. When that mark is missing, it creates a rarity that sparks excitement across the numismatic world. The obverse of the 1948 shilling features the dignified portrait of King George VI, a monarch respected for his leadership during Britain's darkest years. His image on the coin radiates strength, resolve, and quiet determination. On the reverse, we see either the English or Scottish crest, depending on the variety, crowned with pride to symbolize unity across the United Kingdom. Without a mint mark, however, this design becomes even more exceptional, a subtle variation that changes everything. Millions of ordinary shillings circulated in 1948, but the no mint mark version is rare. Many were lost in circulation, spent into oblivion, or damaged through years of use. Only a handful survive today in collectible condition. This is what makes the 1948 no mint mark shilling so valuable. Its scarcity, combined with its role in British history, elevates it far above the level of common post-war coins. At coin auctions, when one of these rarities appears, competition is fierce. Collectors know how difficult it is to secure one, and they are willing to pay significant amounts to add it to their collections. So, is it really that valuable? Without a doubt, yes. In today's market, depending on condition, this coin can fetch hundreds of dollars. High-grade examples in superb preservation have sold for as much as $850, a staggering return for a coin that once represented only 12 pence. Think of the transformation. A coin minted in the austerity of 1948, meant for daily spending, now carries the power of hundreds of dollars because of a single missing detail. That is the beauty and mystery of numismatics. Beyond its financial worth, the coin tells a deeper story. It speaks of a nation in recovery, of a monarch who guided his people through challenge, and of the small details that make history unforgettable. For collectors, owning the 1948 no mint mark shilling is not just about money, it is about pride. It is about holding a scarce piece of British history that few others will ever own. For investors, it is a reliable asset. The rarity ensures stability and value, and as more collectors compete for fewer. So, if you ever find yourself in possession of the 1948 British One Shilling George VI with no mint mark, treasure it. Because you are holding more than a coin, you are holding a fragment of history, a symbol of rarity, and possibly $850 or more in value. From the final years of George VI's reign in 1948, the story of the One Shilling takes a historic turn, as the throne passed to his daughter, Queen Elizabeth II, and by 1957 her portrait would grace a new generation of coins destined to capture the hearts of collectors. This coin is not just a simple piece of silver-colored metal. It represents a powerful chapter in the post-war story of Britain, and its rarity makes it an object of true desire among numismatists and investors alike. When we talk about 1957, we are speaking of the early years of Queen Elizabeth II's reign. She had only been on the throne for 5 years, and the entire British Empire was still adjusting to a new monarch who symbolized both tradition and change. The coinage of this era reflected that transition, modern in its appearance, yet still tied to the centuries-old shilling system that defined Britain's money. Now, the 1 shilling coin was traditionally issued with two main varieties, one with the English crest and one with the Scottish crest. But in 1957, a special no-mint mark version was struck. This version is what sets certain coins apart, transforming them from ordinary currency into a valuable prize. The absence of a mint mark may seem like a small detail, but in the world of coin collecting, such details are everything. It is this tiny distinction that elevates a regular shilling into one of the most valuable British coins of the late 1950s. The no-mint mark variety of the 1957 shilling was not produced in vast quantities. Far fewer were struck compared to the standard issues, and over the years, even fewer have survived in pristine condition. This scarcity is the core reason for its growing value in auctions and private collections. Collectors are always searching for coins that tell a story, and the 1957 no-mint mark shilling does exactly that. It speaks of a minting anomaly, a rarity, and a piece of history tied directly to the young Queen Elizabeth II. Over the decades, as more collectors discovered this hidden gem, the value of the coin rose dramatically. Today, finding one in excellent condition can be like striking gold, not only in monetary worth but also in the thrill of owning a scarce piece of British heritage. So why is it so valuable? The answer is simple: rarity plus demand. The coin is rare because only a limited number exist, and demand is driven by collectors who recognize its significance. When these two forces combine, the value skyrockets. And let's talk numbers, because this is where things get exciting. A well-preserved example of the 1957 British One Shilling Elizabeth II with no mint mark can sell for hundreds of dollars, with some exceptional specimens fetching prices well over $500 in auctions. For a coin with a face value of just 1 shilling, that is an incredible leap in value. Imagine holding in your hand a coin that most people would overlook, but you know that it could be worth several $100s. That feeling of discovery and ownership is what makes numismatics so thrilling. Every collector dreams of finding that one special coin, the one that turns an ordinary day into an extraordinary one. The 1957 no-mint mark shilling has become exactly that kind of dream coin for many. What makes it even more exciting is that these coins still occasionally surface in collections, attics, or inherited coin boxes. The idea that you could stumble across one today, decades after it was struck, adds an adventurous spark to the hunt. Remember, this is not just a piece of currency. It is a fragment of history, struck in the early days of Queen Elizabeth II's reign, symbolizing Britain's resilience and the continuity of its traditions. For investors, the coin also represents a solid asset. With rarity and historical significance backing it, the value of the 1957 no-mint mark shilling is expected to remain strong and could even climb higher in the years to come. Collectors worldwide compete for these coins, and every time one goes under the hammer, it reinforces its status as one of the most valuable mid-20th century British shillings. So if you ever come across a 1957 British One Shilling with no mint mark, treasure it. Because you are not just holding a coin, you are holding a story, a rarity, and potentially several $100s in value. The maximum value recorded for these coins in top condition has reached close to $600 in recent years, and that figure may rise as awareness and demand continue to grow. As the 1957 Elizabeth II shilling marked the beginning of a new royal era in coinage, the following year of 1958 carried that same youthful portrait forward, strengthening its place in British history and adding another remarkable piece to the collector's journey. The year 1958 was an important one. The post-war years were settling into a period of renewal. Britain was modernizing its economy, and the monarchy was the enduring anchor of tradition. Coins struck during this period carried more than value. They carried identity, pride, and history. The shilling had long been a central part of British money, worth 12 pence under the pre-decimal system. By 1958, collectors already knew the shilling carried prestige. But what makes this particular year so special is the elusive no-mint-mark version. In normal circulation, coins would carry slight distinguishing marks depending on where they were minted. But in 1958, a rare batch of shillings appeared without any mint mark. It might seem like a tiny detail, but that missing mark has elevated this coin into the ranks of true numismatic royalty. Think about it. Millions of ordinary shillings pass through hands, pockets, and tills across the United Kingdom. Yet only a fraction bore this distinctive rarity. That scarcity is what fuels the desire of collectors today. What makes the 1958 no-mint-mark shilling even more fascinating is its link to the story of Queen Elizabeth II herself. Still in the first decade of her reign, her portrait on the coin symbolized youth, stability, and continuity after turbulent times. Every detail of the design carries the weight of British history. The coin features the crowned English or Scottish crest, a bold reminder of Britain's heritage. But without that mint mark, the coin steps into a different category, one where rarity meets demand and value begins to climb. Over time, many ordinary 1958 shillings were spent, lost, or damaged. But the no mint mark version, surviving in high grades, has become a shining prize. Collectors and investors know that rarity combined with condition equals opportunity. This is why auctions and private sales often see fierce competition for the 1958 no-mint-mark shilling. The coin has transformed from an everyday currency into a financial and historical asset. Now, let's talk about why it is so valuable. The answer lies in two undeniable truths. Very few exist, and many people want them. That balance of supply and demand is the beating heart of the coin market. So is it really that valuable? Absolutely yes. Depending on condition, these coins can fetch several $100s today. Exceptional examples in top-graded condition have sold for as much as $700, a remarkable figure for a coin that once bought only a few goods in a 1950s shop. Imagine finding one of these coins in a family collection, an inherited jar of shillings, get tucked away in an old coin book. That discovery could easily translate into hundreds of dollars in your pocket. But beyond the money, the real magic of the 1958 no-mint-mark shilling is its story. It connects us to a Britain on the brink of change, holding on to its traditions while preparing for the future. The coin also represents Queen Elizabeth II in her youthful years, reminding us of her long and enduring reign. Holding such a piece is like holding a moment in history, frozen in silver. Collectors worldwide compete for these treasures because they are not just coins. They are passports to history, symbols of rarity, and investments that continue to grow in value. For those who are passionate about numismatics, the 1958 no-mint-mark shilling is a must-have. It is a reminder that sometimes the smallest details create the biggest rewards. So if you ever come across this coin, treasure it. Because you are not just holding 12 old pence, you are holding a valuable relic that could be worth $700 or more in today's market. The 1958 British One Shilling with no mint mark is more than money. It is history, rarity, and value combined. and that is why it stands as one of the most valuable coins of Elizabeth II's early reign. From the 1958 Elizabeth II shilling, the journey of British coinage moved ahead with grace and continuity, reaching the year 1963, a coin that not only preserved the young Queen's portrait, but also carried forward the legacy of post-war Britain, now standing as one of the most prized treasures for collectors. It is a living fragment of the monarchy's story, a reminder of the early decades of Queen Elizabeth II's reign, and a rare collectible that carries with it impressive worth in today's numismatic market. The year 1963 was a period of transition for Britain. The country was modernizing, industries were changing, and the cultural revolution of the 1960s was beginning to stir. Yet in the midst of all this change, the traditional shilling remained an anchor of continuity in the pockets of the British people. The shilling, equal to 12 pence in the pre-decimal system, was a familiar coin to generations. But in 1963, something remarkable happened. A small batch of 1 shilling coins was struck without a mint mark, setting them apart from the standard issues of that year. That missing mark, a detail so tiny that many casual observers would overlook it, is exactly what transforms this coin into a valuable rarity. In numismatics, the smallest differences can create the greatest treasures. The 1963 no-mint mark shilling is scarce. Fewer were minted compared to regular issues, and even fewer survive today in high-grade condition. This scarcity, combined with growing collector demand, has elevated its status in the marketplace. What makes this coin even more meaningful is its connection to Queen Elizabeth II herself. Still, a relatively young monarch in 1963, her portrait on the coin radiated strength, elegance, and the promise of stability for a rapidly changing nation. The design of the coin captures tradition through its national emblems, the crowned English crest or Scottish crest, depending on the version tying modern Britain to its centuries-old heritage. But without that mint mark, the coin becomes something far more special, a hidden prize waiting to be discovered. Many ordinary shillings from 1963 were lost, spent, or worn down through circulation. But the no-mint mark shillings that remain are now considered elite collectibles, sought after by serious collectors and investors alike. The excitement surrounding this coin comes from more than just its rarity. It also comes from the thrill of discovery. To find one of these coins unexpectedly is like finding a piece of hidden treasure. Over time, this coin has proven to be not only a collectible, but also a financial opportunity. Its value has consistently risen as more collectors realize just how rare the 1963 no-mint mark shilling really is. So, why is it so valuable? The formula is simple but powerful: scarcity plus demand. Coins like this, which are both historically meaningful and difficult to obtain, will always command strong prices. Today, a 1963 British One-shilling Elizabeth II with no mint mark in average collector condition can bring in impressive returns. But the true excitement lies in top-quality specimens. Coins preserved in exceptional grades have sold for as much as $800, a remarkable figure for what was once a simple shilling in circulation. Imagine holding in your hand a coin that most people in 1963 would never think twice about, and yet today, that same coin could secure you hundreds of dollars at auction. That is the magic of numismatics. Beyond its monetary value, the coin tells a story. It is a bridge to the 1960s, a time of cultural awakening, political change, and a monarchy that continued to serve as a beacon of unity. Owning such a coin means owning a piece of that story. Collectors treasure this coin not only for its value, but also for the pride of adding such a rarity to their collection. It is a coin that sparks conversation, admiration, and envy among fellow enthusiasts. For investors, it represents stability, a coin whose rarity ensures that its value will remain strong, with the potential to rise even further in the future as supply continues to dwindle. So, if you ever come across the 1963 British One Shilling with no mint mark, treat it as a once-in-a-lifetime find. Because you are not just holding a coin, You are holding history, rarity, and potentially $800 or more in pure value. This coin is more than metal. It is heritage, it is investment, and it is proof that sometimes the smallest details in history become the greatest rewards for those wise enough to recognize them.